Now we're going to attach the buttonhole foot. This is a specialty foot. This foot will allow you to create a buttonhole quite easily. The first step is to remove the current presser foot by pressing the lever on the back, and it will drop right off. Very carefully remove that presser foot and put to the side. Take your buttonhole foot, line it up underneath until the metal bar lines up with the presser foot lever. Slowly lower the presser foot and then press the release lever one more time, and you'll see that it will snap right on to that buttonhole foot. I now lift up the buttonhole foot. I'm now going to mark my fabric where I want the actual buttonhole to be. That buttonhole marking is usually done by following the pattern. The pattern will tell you where to put these buttonholes. Since we're doing a sample, I'll do a nice simple little line right there using chalk. You can use Taylor's chalk, you can use disappearing marker, you could use actual regular chalk like I did. And now that you have that marked, you are also then going to take a piece of stabilizer and place that stabilizer underneath the fabric where that buttonhole is going to be. That stabilizer will keep your stitches from kind of cinching up the material like that. It's going to keep it nice and neat. So you want to make sure that stabilizer covers the entire area that the buttonhole is going to be. Now I want to make sure that the buttonhole is the exact size I need for the button I plan on using. Well, to do that, I'm actually going to use the buttonhole foot. There's a special slot over here that we're actually going to insert the button into very carefully, and then using this lever we are going to close it. Sorry, I'll move my hand out of the way, and it locks it in. And this is the distance that is going to be used by the machine to decide how big the buttonhole should actually be. Now that I have that in, I'm going to lift the presser foot. Going to take my fabric along with that stabilizer. You notice the stabilizer is underneath, and I'm going to line up the front line of that marking that I did just with the very center right here of where the needle is going to be, and then I'm going to very carefully lower that presser foot. Let's take a look at the settings that we need to have before we actually do the buttonhole. We have the presser foot on that we need for making buttonholes. We have the fabric in. Now let's make sure that we adjust our stitch selector to buttonhole. You notice it is that symbol. That symbol will be used just about everywhere for buttonhole making. We're then going to go up to the stitch length. The stitch length will be somewhere between 1 and 0, and you'll see that it is the same buttonhole symbol. And then we come up to the width. The width can be adjusted anywhere between 3 and 5. I'm going to go ahead and set this at 4. And now we have all of our settings ready to go to make our buttonhole. Our last option to turn on is to pull down the buttonhole lever and press it back. That is often hidden up underneath, so you'll have to reach for it, maybe look around until you find it. And you'll know that you've got the right lever as opposed to the threading lever. The threading lever is all white, no symbols on it. The buttonhole lever is white, but it actually has the word push, arrow down, and then it has the buttonhole symbol that we've talked about earlier. When it says push, it means to push it all the way back. It'll click twice, and it shouldn't go back any further than that. Once you've done that, you let go of the lever and lightly grab the thread from the top needle. You don't need to pull on it, you just need to lightly hold that so it doesn't get caught up. Now at this point we're ready to make the buttonhole. So I'm going to press my foot down on the pedal, and you'll see that it is now moving backwards to make the first side of the buttonhole. And then it will change directions when that lever clicks, and it will come back forward. And when it's finished, you just kind of eyeball that and make sure that it's actually completed the entire track, going from front to back and then from back to front. Now I'm going to turn my hand wheel forward so that I can release that, and I will lift up my presser foot and very carefully move that fabric out. Camera a little bit. And I'm going to carefully trim the threads on the front. And then I'm going to make sure I get around to the back. And you'll see there's a few more threads, and we're just going to trim those up. Clean that all off. And we're almost complete with the buttonhole now. Okay, so this is called tearaway stabilizer. You don't want the stabilizer to sit in your clothing the entire time in this giant square, because that can actually become itchy and get in the way of completing the garment. So what we do is we grab that. It's a type of paper, and when we tear it away, we remove it. However, the stabilizer stays underneath those actual threads, which will keep it nice and neat. Now it's time to open up that buttonhole. You can use very, very sharp razor blade, X-Acto knife. They do make special tools for doing this. I don't actually see the need to do the special tools most of the time. I often use a rotary cutter, and I'm not going to roll it. What I'm going to do is very carefully, we've got a set of threads here and a set of threads there. I'm going to make sure I get right in between it because I don't want to cut them. And I'm going to press down, and that should have opened up. And if it didn't open it up all the way, a very small pair of scissors can finish that off for you. Again, being careful not to cut the threads that are surrounding the buttonhole. That's what keeps it all stable. So now I've completed one buttonhole.